What's going on, guys? This is Jeets, and I'm sure you guys have seen me on this channel before, or with Sirius before. And today, I'm here to talk about how I've been molested growing up, and basically, I was growing up at a young age. I was molested by my cousin and my mother, and those were two of the most destructive series of experiences that I've ever endured in my life. Uh it's basically been something that's just entrenched my soul into a level of darkness that's made it very difficult for me to be who I need to be in so many different aspects of my life, and for me to be able to experience the most important and most vulnerable parts of life with the level of openness I need to be able to allow those things to flow in my life. And basically, with my cousin, at a young age, she initiated sexual acts with me. I was blindsided by this, and certain things of the nature of kissing, touching, um, exposing body parts, like these were things that she initiated with me, and like I was just blindsided, and all the shame and guilt and just horror of that experience is something that was stuck inside of me for a very long time. And then as far as with my mother, she would basically like be butt naked around me. Like she would basically be like changing in front of me when I was a young boy, exposing her breasts quite frequently and like saying like, "Oh, I'm your mother, so it's okay." Like she insulated the fuck out of me. So like she slept in the same bed as me till like I was aged fucking 11. She bathed me to like age 8 or 9, and so she was making contact with my genitals into way too late of an age. And not only that, she was undressing me and dressing me up after bathing out in the open where anybody could see me in the house. Like there'd be lights on in the hallway and like windows open, like neighbors could see in the house like I'm there butt naked up to like the age 8 or 9. Like she's just exposing me in all the wrong fucking ways and exposing all the wrong things to me. And in later years in my life, she would like walk in on me and further reinforce the sexual shit that went on and try to justify it. Like in the moment, that time she would try and reinforce it, like trying to justify it. Like, what the fuck? Uh, and then as far as with my cousin, like, I was 7. He's a year and a half older. I was like 6 or 7. She's the difference. And I remember the first time she did it to me, she was talking about like, "Oh, we're cousins, so it's okay for us to do this." I don't know where the fuck that came from. That's not supposed to come from someone who was her age at all. I'm fully aware of that. However, like the place her spirit was coming from and how she was in that experience, like I honestly feel like she was getting possessed in these moments, like where she was doing this shit to me. I know she was under the influence of evil and was definitely being used for evil in those moments, and it destroyed me. It destroyed me. With both of those series of experiences, with my cousin and my mother. I never opened up about this shit when I was in the environment where it happened, when I was in my house, when I was with so-called family. I was way too ashamed and guilty to open up about it to them. I was way too ashamed and guilty to open up about it to so-called friends who weren't fucking friends. And I never really got to that place of being able to open up about it till I moved in with Sirius. And obviously me and Sirius met through doing Call of Duty and shit and YouTube, but ultimately the reason why we met in this life, we're deeply connected at a spiritual level. Like, we have a very strong soul connection, and we've known each other for many lifetimes. And in this life, me and him came together to conquer evil. And ironically, like, me being here, I had been subject to some of the most evil shit I could possibly be subject to. The basis of that ultimately has turned into what the message on this channel has become today. And the journey that we're on today, and the things we're trying to accomplish today in terms of healing this evil fucking reality from the planet and from God's people. Because it's destroyed us. Rape, sexual assault, molestation, sexual perversion from evil spirits, evil beings, evil people is what's destroying us. And as far as it goes with my family, when I was finally brave enough to open up about the things that had gone on and hold my family to the fire with questioning what the fuck was going on at the house, because why, you know, like, why is my cousin primed sexually at that young of an age to externalize it onto me? It didn't make any sense other than, you know, foul play involved in terms of something happening secondhand or something happening firsthand to her and her externalizing it secondhand onto me under the influence of whatever the fuck she was under the influence of in those experiences. Because like I said, like, the shit was just like, it was just too crazy. Like, it felt like she was possessed. The things that came out in those experiences, like the things that were done, the way they were done, and fucking the things that were said, like, it just, like, something demonic just came the fuck out. Like, and at that age, like, you know, at any point experiencing anything sexual coming from the wrong nature is horrible, but at that age and against my will, it honestly just annihilated me. The things that transpired after that, like the loops, the trauma cycles that transpired after that, only made me feel more ashamed and guilty about all of it, and it made it that much harder to open up. But when I got to that point where I finally was able to open up all the way to Sirius about the things I'd gone through, because he's the first person I actually unpacked all of it with. Basically, if I didn't meet Sirius, like, I wouldn't have been able to go this deep into my healing journey the way I've been able to go, and to be able to tackle these demons the way I've been able to tackle them without him. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Like, it just wouldn't happen. And all of the horrible fucking residual effects that this trauma has would be more severe in terms of how it affects me in the present moment. Like, even if I did move out and initiate a healing journey, like, Sirius's guidance has been paramount. It's been priceless for me to be able to be as far along as I am now in battling all the shit I've been. When it came to opening up to my family about this and pressing forward for the truth about what happened, basically, my family shaded accountability. My family blamed me. My family ostracized me for bringing up what happened to me, and I was being guilt tripped for bringing it up. And essentially being treated as the problem when I'm the victim of the shit that happened in that household. That's how my own so-called family treated me. My mother denied the experiences. You know, my father was guilt tripping me. And then my aunt and uncle were flat out, they're just flat out fucking evil. And I'll delve into that more in future videos, because that deserves its own fucking video. But I opened up about these experiences. I asked the questions about them. And I got physically attacked by my family for bringing this shit up and asking the necessary questions about the experience the way they needed to be asked. I was physically assaulted for doing that. My biological family is not a family at all. And obviously this shit has left deep wounds, deep scars. They always have been deep wounds, they always have been deep scars. I just really came to understand the true nature of them, which is important to being able to heal from that. Because it's taught me and showed me that what I really need and what has more value to me than anything is true relationships. Like the relationships I have with Sirius, like the relationship I have with Leah. That is priceless. That's the only thing that's helped me heal from this trauma is those relationships. Because all the inner work I've done and the courage that I've expressed has been supercharged by those relationships and other relationships as well. Relationships with people who I have the deepest connections to at a spiritual level. Being sexually traumatized and being molested made it really hard for me to go towards real love. And these real relationships, the ones that I'm telling you about right now, it made it really fucking hard to do that. And above all, what these experiences really damaged for me as a young man was my relationship with the feminine. Having that ripped away from me that's having my entire soul ripped away from me is what that is, you know? Because as far as all the things that I can excel at, like that I'm good at, that I'm even resourceful or helpful for, like having that foundational pillar with the feminine being so destroyed for so long in my life, and not even being able to begin the healing journey for that until I was at the age of 20. I'm 22 now. So for over 90% of my life, my relationship with the feminine has been annihilated. For those 20 years, like, I wasn't even really truly me, because I couldn't let me out without that foundation of who I am and how I express myself and how I relate spiritually to others being intact. Sexual trauma just really, really fucked that up for me. Whenever there was something genuine, like I had so much turmoil in my soul, I was burning up so much that it was hard for me to go towards the right things. Once you're at that point of no return with being that damaged, like, recovery is very hard. I don't know. I really can't even find the words for this shit. Nobody deserves to have something so foundational to them ripped away. In that experience of having difficulty going towards the right things, the right people, I even ran into that struggle with Sirius. It hasn't been until I've gotten this far along on my healing journey to where I've actually been able to understand what the fuck it was that I was feeling. Because my initial response to it, admittedly, like, I got defensive. It was painful to be triggered in a certain way. But what the trigger ultimately was a lesson about strength. This is the way it works with true, genuine relationships, like with true, genuine spiritual connections. Like, you are connected to these people eternally, and a part of that experience is throughout many lifetimes, and especially throughout this lifetime, like, souls who you have a connection to, who are souls just like yours, souls that are completely pure, that are unconditionally loving, there are very big lessons to learn from these people in your life. And with Sirius, I have learned the most paramount lessons in my life. Ultimately, the lesson that Sirius was teaching me about was about strength. Going through multiple sexually traumatic experiences really desecrated my relationship with strength, which is, at my core, at a soul level, that is completely intertwined with who I am. Because anyone who's pure, anyone who's loving, is absolutely strong, because love is what strength is. Love and strength will never be independent of each other unless the person who has the love inside of them got attacked. Destruction was done onto the loving person. And sexual trauma absolutely is that. I've been in the darkness for so fucking long, being in a household where I got molested and where it was being reinforced. Like, that is pure darkness. Sirius's light is what was able to show me the things that got covered up in that darkness, and a huge part of that is my strength. That shadow work in relationships is a huge part of healing through this experience as well, because anyone who has that light inside of them is here to not only love you, but to show you more about yourself, you know? And that experience of learning more about yourself is painful. And when you haven't been around real relationships, when you haven't been around real love, when you haven't been around real family, it's so damn painful and confusing when you experience that for the first fucking time. Because you're not ever supposed to be in a situation where you're not with your actual family, and that you don't experience true care until you're 20 years old. And you don't experience true teachings from people you have relationships with till you're 20 fucking years old. But unfortunately, in this reality, this is the position that God's people have been forced into. And coming out of this shit is extremely fucking painful. As far as like all of the resistance and like the defensiveness per se, and the struggle with allowing myself to be vulnerable with that experience of building my relationship with Sirius and my relationship with other people that I have a spiritual connection with as well. All of the pain I was feeling, all of the resistance had completely to do with my trauma and how I internalized that trauma, because I blamed myself for it. That's ultimately what made it so fucking painful to be around Sirius. I blamed myself for things that were deficient in myself, that were weak in myself, on myself. Instead of pointing the finger at what the actual root cause was, which was the trauma. And had I never been around Sirius, I wouldn't understand that. Not to the degree that I'm able to understand it now, and not to the degree that I'm able to deal with it now. Ultimately, that takes me to why I made this video to begin with, because I'm making this video for my soul family and everyone who I'm connected to spiritually, everyone who is from the source, everyone who is divine, and men and women respectively who have been through this experience and have experienced their own suffering and torture from what the fuck this trauma causes. This video is for y'all. This video is for y'all to be able to feel that experience, to learn about that experience, and to feel okay with your voice about that experience, because that really is the most important thing. People who give a damn and people who understand need to be able to express everything freely. Like everything. But especially this shit, because it's the most traumatic shit that you could go through as it pertains to your relationship to the divine feminine, if you're a man, and the divine masculine if you're a woman. And it really is the worst shit indigenous people are dealing with on this planet. And it is the greatest attack that has been formed against us. And so, one video at a time, we're gonna tackle this issue. And every layer that comes with it, because there are evil groups and evil entities who are responsible for not only creating this reality, but orchestrating it directly to make sure that it's happening and to make sure that it happens in certain ways. That is a level of evil that exists on this planet, and that's what we're here to tackle and destroy. But with all that being said, I hope y'all are able to take something away from this video. Anyone who's ever been through this shit, you know, all our Instagram links are in the description. You can DM any of us. And beyond that, I love y'all. We're going to get through this shit together. We're going to conquer this demon. We're going to destroy evil. We're going to reestablish love again and the relationship between the masculine and the feminine in all forms. With all that being said, it's Ajit, and I'm signing out. Y'all take care, man.